Hi. Hello, hello. I guess I should say that. But hey, I'm back. What another story time, and I actually have both of my hands done today, you all. So, ooh. So a thing about when you talk about things that are supposed to be traumatic to you, but they're not traumatic because you always had God and your ancestors, and your common sense that God and your ancestors and ooh, there go UPS and different positive entities, as well as there are positive demonic entities as well that have been running through different bloodlines, storylines, and paradigms in the collective consciousness of existence when you get to a certain level of, I guess, consciousness, I guess is the right word to use, in spirituality and 111 on the timer when I just looked, and in the occult, since I am a high priestess, a textbook high priestess. I see, hear, know, feel. I can astral project. I can, what is that? What is it? That project view. I've been doing that since I was about 5. And I was in different programs for psychic abilities, psychic testing, and different stuff. And of course, my father was I guess you could classify him as a shaman, but he was also a high priest as well, and a couple other people in my family on both sides. Due to the unique genetic makeup that I have, there's different diasporas that are running all through me, which to others they thought would leave me susceptible to being a fool and being gullible of letting someone come in and control things. It's oh no, you said you could do this thing, and that person being Richard Kyle Artist. What did folks you say, aka Oso Verde of Bare Naked Herbals and More Life. And we met at North Carolina Agricultural Technical State University, where I was a psychology undergrad student, and he was what did he go to school for? Something in engineering, and he didn't graduate, and he was out here lying and saying he was graduated and, fake degree and all that stuff. But that's a whole other part of the storyline, you all. It's a whole other part of the story that North Carolina Agricultural and Technical State University has been out here allowing folks to claim that they graduated and signing off on things. But let's go back to the top that actually deals with me. So, as I was at North Carolina Agricultural Technical State University, I realized that there were, I would say, about 98% of the student population that was possessed. And when I say possessed, I mean actually possessed. 333 on the timer when I look. Their families had done whatever it is that there is their modality of being able to jump into their bodies, and which a lot of the times it is through ayahuasca, which I never knew what it was completely made out of. Like, you have to have human parts, whether it be teeth. So a lot of the times if you see someone that has their side tooth missing, that was the first part of their journey of ayahuasca and their family possessing their body. So there were so many people that I met, and I just was like, okay, I have to stay a psychology student, because you're not about to sit here and tell me that you are not demonically possessed. And I mean, I grew up in a church, of course, like a lot of us. I was president of 21 churches, youth president, and so on and so on and so on, and which is Disciples of Christ, Western Assembly Disciples of Christ, 444 on the clock, in Newton Grove, North Carolina, and my home church is St. James Disciples of Christ in Benson, North Carolina. So with those teachings that I grew up with, and then just in my home atmosphere with my father actually guiding and teaching us how to use our different, us being my brother Marcus and I, are different God-given, though some are evolved from demonic entities or modalities that they gained. They did so we could just get as a gift and learn how to use those things positively instead of negatively, and not sell our souls, not sell our bodies, not sell others, so on, so on, so on. So with me having a background of that, a lot of people didn't ask me about it. I also didn't talk about it too much because everyone will put that mask up. So with me being like that as a child and just always using discernment as what they say in the Christian church, which is just your intuition and just really listening to yourself, listening to God, asking questions directly, because if someone cannot answer your direct question, don't listen to that individual. But when I got to North Carolina Agricultural and Technical State University, I realized that I was very different. Very, very different. I was there for my education and not to sell my body for my family or the institution. Because I discovered during, I think it was like the commencement ceremony or something, when we got the A&T pen and we had to recite the creed or what have you, whatever it's called. I honestly don't remember. I've never been one that was Aggie Pride. I went to school there because there was just so much going on in the city of Greensboro, and I worked downtown, so I was always able to compare and contrast how adults in the real world that owned things and didn't and made the city run, how was it that you got into certain circles? And it was either prostitution, mostly just prostitution, or confirmation beep outside, or just being someone in the know and knowing who you needed to know and being able to sit at that table and hold your own and not let anybody tell you who you are, what you do, what you don't do, and being able to back it up. So once I started interacting with other people other entities on the campus, I was just like, I don't think this is for me, but I don't want an even bigger bill, so I'm just gonna stay here. I'm just gonna stay, and I'll just figure out what it is that's actually going on this campus, what it is that these people are doing, because I'm working umpteen jobs. My regular job, I also modeled. I was a jet beauty in college as well. Of course, I'm gonna sprinkle that in. Black history. I'm sprinkle that in for myself because beep beep, I'm gonna always toot my own horn. But once I saw that there were so many different familial patterns that were negative floating around the campus, especially in Greek life, as I had friends that at the time, we're not friends anymore, obviously, at the time that had taken certain oaths and done blood oaths and different ceremonies that they claimed they didn't know what was going on. Some did, some didn't. And I just was always that spiritual little native girly that was like, I'm not doing it. You shouldn't do that neither, but I'm on my business. Everybody got their own life to live, baby. I got to go to work. So I discovered that there was body switching, different body modifications, different negative things that were just going on campus, and I just could not be a part of it. I couldn't. I was just there, actually there to go to school, actually there to get out of Dunn, North Carolina, and not have to go back due to anything negative that I did or someone else got me into. And at 33 years old in my Jesus year, still not a thing. Oh, I'm lash. Put my hands clean. So going around campus and seeing that there was just this secret thing looming around, it just made me curious. But I also wasn't one that fucked around and found out. I just observed. Some call it sitting on a high horse. I mean, hey, I used to ride horses when I was little, bareback, barefoot, so be it. But once I discovered the underground workings of the school, I just put it in my back pocket and said, you know what? One day when I've got the time to finally get into tarot, since for some reason people were told that I was tarot reading and whatnots, and I wasn't. Not in undergrad. I didn't start reading tarot until my son was about 1. So, and this was what, almost 5 years ago. So it was just something went right. Just something went right in the milk, and I had to figure it out because I'm intuitive, I'm inquisitive, I've always been that way, but again, not in a fuck around and find out way. It was just, well, if it comes across my desk, I'll deal with it when I need to deal with it, when it's relative. So everything with me kicked off last year, actually this time in August last year, when I visited my aunt and, well, Cleo and McKinnon. And yes, actually, she is based on the Miss Cleo. So, well, Miss Cleo is based on her, I should say. But now you can kind of work it backwards with the background. And that was one of the things that I found out when I was on a mushroom journey. I wouldn't call it a trip because I was fully in my right mind and knew exactly what was going on because I'm a high priestess. It's just another modality to unlock doors and keys to the occult. So it's more of like a barrier for me. It was more of a barrier of keeping those that were masking out of what it was that I was uncovering about my shadow side, about my lineage, about my familial culture on both sides. And it just, man, it blew the lid off on folks, okay? It really put everything into perspective. I was like, oh, this is what y'all was doing. Oh, so y'all was out there hoeing for y'all families, and then it turned out being hoeing for the university because y'all was doing drugs and not really going to class, but okay. And I wasn't doing drugs, and I was in class and at work and modeling and doing photography, shooting photography, and helping people starting businesses 1, 2, 3 on the clock. And without drugs, without prostitution, without selling my soul, without selling my body, without selling other people's bodies and all those things. And all of that was going on around me the entire time. And I never knew. Of course I wouldn't know because I wasn't ever in it. So how would I know? I wouldn't. I didn't know until I asked. But it wasn't until I did another round of deep shadow work, but I used mushrooms instead. They were actually the penis envy categorization of mushrooms that I used. So when I discovered exactly what my lineage is, I am actually Haitian Creole, Cajun, Vietnamese, Blackfoot Native, Coeri Native, Tuscarora. That's me. That's why my intuition is the way it is, because I listen. I'm literally bred to do these things. And I also found out that the women in my family that did not ever sell their souls on both sides, that did not sell their souls, that did not make others sell their souls, actually for the last 200 years have been helping others uncover different things about themselves, about the government, about spirituality, different occult practices, things and such, all of that. So that's how I grew up. That's my genetic makeup, because people actually have been out here trying to deport me because of how my hair is and how my skin is, and they just couldn't believe that I'm black. But with all of that put together with how America is thought up at the moment, I'm just black, baby. I'm not Caribbean, I'm not African, no shade or none of that. I have to make it plain for everybody because it is what it is. It was what it was as well. But using all of those, I compiled everything together and realized, oh, this state being North Carolina, is ran off of cult activity. There is a gigantic cult community here of different types of cults in North Carolina. And right outside of Charlotte, maybe about an hour outside of Charlotte, there is a whole cult church road with different diasporas of cult churches. And Richard Kyle, artist slash Oh So Verde, drove me through that the week before he abandoned me in a hotel. But I've rambled for 15 minutes now. That's just part 2 of my story time. Bye.